News and information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.
The following program is furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content. Now, from the fifth floor Cumulus Studios in downtown Dallas, it's time for Inside Real Estate. Here's your host, Michael Kruizinga.
Good morning, DFW Metroplex. Come on in, stay a while. Time for Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga here, your local DFW area realtor and your host of this show. Don't you love that new disclaimer we have just right before the show rolls in? Nothing but a buzzkill. Get the nice new disclaimer. Hope everybody enjoyed that. Guess what? You're going to hear it every Sunday. And by the way, we are here every Sunday from 8 to 9 a.m. for your listening pleasure. We talk all kinds of things. If you've tuned into us before, you know that we don't always just talk real estate. We talk a little sports, a little entertainment, a little politics, a little home improvement, all kinds of things. And we sure have some fun. And we hope you do out there, and hope you learn a little bit of something as well while you're tuning in on a Sunday morning. Driving in this morning, beautiful, beautiful sky out there. As I was heading in from the west side, pink sky this morning. And, of course, if we were out on the ocean, you know what they say, pink sky in morning, sailor warning, pink sky at night, sailor's delight. But, of course, no water to be seen anywhere around here. So, hey, folks, what are we doing today? Well, we're going to talk a little bit of foundation talk coming up at 8:15, okay? We got Jared Benson from Perma-Pier Foundation Repair of Texas. We're going to be talking foundation talk. And then a little bit later in the show, we're going to be talking to J.C. Harder from Goosehead Insurance. We got some insurance talk. And then, of course, at the end of the show, we got our resident expert in all things mortgage. Terry Wagner is going to be here in studio. And so, by the way, if you want to give us a shout and talk to us, you want to talk mortgage later in the show, 888-787-KLIF. 888-787-KLIF. So you want to talk mortgage, give us a shout. Or if you want to talk anything else, feel free to do that as well. You can always twist my arm to talk a little bit of sports or anything else as well. So again, 888-787-KLIF is the call-in number. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. You can always connect with us and all of our partners there. It's always a great starting point to connect with us, the InsideRealEstateRadio.com website. You can connect over to our Pinterest page. All the stories that we talk about are on that Pinterest page. There's a page board for every show. And, of course, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all that stuff. You can connect there. So feel free to do that anytime. We're here for all of your real estate needs, too, by the way. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that here in a second. But usually we always start off the show with a little bit of this day in history. So we're going to hop onto that. I missed it the last couple of weeks. We've been so slam-packed with talking politics the last several weeks, and we hadn't done it, so let's get back at it. So let's go back in time, March 6th, back in time. Here's a few things that happened way back when. Let's go 1836. The HMS Beagle with Charles Darwin reached the King George Sound of Australia. Also, 1836, of course, the Alamo. After 13 days of fighting, the battle ended on this day, March 6, 1836. 1922, Babe Ruth signed a 3-year deal with the Yankees. And guess how much he was making way back then? $52,000 a year. Far cry from the millions of dollars the ball players make these days. So $52,000 a year. For one of the greatest sluggers of all time, he only made $52,000 a year back in 1922. 1899, aspirin was patented by Bayer. 1950, silly putty was invented. How about that? Hey, 1951, remember the Rosenbergs? Their trial began. The alleged spies, the Rosenbergs. 1964, Cassius Clay decided to change his name to what we mostly all know Muhammad Ali, the great Muhammad Ali. 1970, the Beatles released Let It Be over in the UK, and that became a great hit. 1981, Cronkite signed off. That was CBS News, his longtime run, Walter Cronkite, 1981. 1982, the highest scoring combined game in the NBA. And I think this still holds the record, actually. Sam, we might have to double check it, but 171 to 166 in 3 overtimes, San Antonio over Milwaukee. And I think that still does hold the record, 171 points to 166 points. I don't think there's anything that has come close, but we shall double check. I think it still holds the record. 1985, Tyson knocks out Hector Mercedes in the first round, and that was his first pro fight back in 85, Tyson. And that is going to round out this day in history. Back in time, March 6th. There you go. Want to throw a few things at you before we head to the break and then go to foundation talk. Want to remind you that a lot of you out there are looking at the big national websites for a lot of your real estate information, i.e. Zillow and Trulia. Of course, Trulia is owned by Zillow. Those are probably the big two. And I mention them in particular because a lot of people use them. They do a lot of national advertising, and they do really well on marketing their websites. And you have to remember that these are simply just websites. Guess how much Zillow sold in real estate all of last year? Well, if you know the answer to that, you need to call in and talk to me. I'll bring that answer to you a little bit later in the show. Second question, how much real estate did Trulia sell all of last year? Okay, let's just say this. I'll give you a couple options. Let's just say under 500 million or over 500 million. There's your two choices there, A and B. And that's for both Zillow and Trulia. So if you know the answer to those and you want to call in, feel free to do that. Reason why I bring that up is because, look, a lot of people are getting fooled by what they call their zestimates with a Z, on their websites for home values. And in particular, those folks who attempt to try to sell their home on their own for sale by owner. Everybody likes to try that. Usually they try it for a certain period of time, a couple, 2-3 weeks, find out that it doesn't work so well and that they got a lot of creepy folks coming into their house that have not been vetted. And then they're like, oh my goodness, I can't do this anymore. I can't put my family at risk. I can't put my possessions at risk. The last few people came in were really shady. We don't know who they were. And then they go with an agent. But in the meantime, they get these values from Zillow and Trulia and these zestimates, and they're very inaccurate. If you're trying to base your home value, your property value off of what they're telling you, it's very inaccurate, particularly here in the state of Texas. Why? Because Texas is a non-disclosure state, which means the sales values of properties are either in the MLS or they are hidden. So if the property was listed in the MLS, that value is in there, and the realtors can pull the market value of your home based on those sales, or an appraiser can. Otherwise, that information is not out there. Now, of course, the public tax records are out there, but they do not show sales prices. What they do show is if a mortgage has been put on a property or not. And so if you look at it and say, okay, well, maybe that was an FHA deal and there's a mortgage there, you can kind of do the math backwards and figure out what the property sold for. But look, at the end of the day, Texas is a non-disclosure state, and so value estimates from these national websites are going to be inaccurate, and that's why we get so many calls about it. Well, so-and-so website says that my value is this. I had another agent do it was this. I wanted to check with another agent and get another opinion. And, of course, the agent opinions are going to be different than what Zillow is saying or Trulia is saying or any of the other national websites are saying. So And that's the reason, is because Texas is a non-disclosure state as far as sales price goes, and that's a good thing. And but those websites are going to be incorrect. And so you got to be careful about that out there. So I just want to bring that to light again. I've talked about it in the past, but it's come up a few times. I've had a few more questions this past week, and I want to just bring it out again. You got to be careful. Only real estate agent is going to really be able to give you the most accurate information on your home, or an appraiser. And, of course, the appraiser does the same thing that we do, base it off the last 6 months. But obviously our job working for you, being the seller's agent, the listing agent, is we were trying to push the market for you to get your best sales price. And we can do that for you. Hey, I also wanted to mention this, and this kind of hit close to home. And I guess people actually do forget about this out there. People forget that once they hit a certain age, and it kind of depends on your county that you're in, but you can get a senior exemption out there on your property taxes. This actually came close to home. I found out that my pops did not file for his senior exemption for his property taxes. And it's actually been a couple years now that he could have had that. I think it's been 2 or 3 years now that he could have filed for it. And I've just found out that he didn't, and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, Dad, we got to get this taken care of. We'd like to get there the next day. And, folks, you got to remember these things out there. And this was just something I had never thought about to really talk about. And I figure people just know they have to do that. And, honestly, my dad, he just forgot about it. And so we got to get him squared away on that. But, folks, you could be saving $200, $300, $400, $500. Depends on where you live, what your property taxes are. Maybe thousands of dollars you could be saving, in property taxes. So, folks, if you've started to get, into your 60s, and it may be 62 or 65 or 66, depends on the area you live in. But once you start getting into your 60s, you need to double check where you're at, where your county is, and check when you can file for your senior exemption. And you need to get that knocked out, because you can be saving lots and lots of money every month on your property taxes, folks. And especially if you've just bought a property and maybe your mortgage, you've got a mortgage on it still at that age, then you need to be careful, and you need to make sure you get that as soon as you can. So don't forget about that out there. Hey, folks, we're going to take a short break. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga, and then we're coming back for Foundation Talk. See you in a few.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruizinga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back with Inside Real Estate. It's Mike Kruizinga here, your host and local DFW area realtor. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. It's time to talk with our favorite guy over at PermaPier Foundation Repair of Texas, Jared Benson, Director of Marketing over there. By the way, website, PermaPier.com. That's PermaPier.com. Phone number 214-637-1444. These guys are the best in foundation repair. Have repaired over 20,000 foundations, and that's a heck of a lot. And by the way, these are the guys that the big builders call when they need some help. Jared, how are we doing today?
Great. I'm doing good. this morning. Thanks for that great introduction today.
Well, anytime. We're going to talk a little bit of foundation on a regular basis because here in the DFW area and in Texas in general, we've got some crazy soils, and the information that you provide is huge to the folks out there. And today we thought we'd talk a little bit about kind of misconceptions on, if you need foundation repair, and that, you're not just out there to try to sell foundation jobs. You want to give it to the folks that need it.
Definitely, yeah. We really do just have a desire to make sure that we're helping people. Their home is oftentimes the most important thing they own, their biggest investment, and there's also a big emotional factor in that for them. So we want people to understand that we're out there to make sure that they're taken care of.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. And this, folks, when you're talking about foundation companies or companies in general for that provide any product or service, that's kind of a rare thing that they kind of actually care about you, and they don't want to just sell you a job for whatever it is. So we're going to talk a little bit about some cues, some themes that maybe you've heard out there, for example, sheetrock cracks. Let's talk about that. Every time there's a misconception out there about, if you see a sheetrock crack in your house, your foundation's just going to crumble. Your house is just going to destroy.
Your house is going to fall down around you while you sleep. That tends to be kind of that worry that people have. And so, really quickly before we even get into that, we'll just say, for anyone who's new to the area, or maybe you're a first-time home buyer, or you haven't owned a home before, really foundation repair is pretty common here in DFW, North Texas in general, and it's just because we have a large amount of clay in the soil. So what the clay does is when there are changes in the moisture content, it expands and contracts kind of like a sponge. So when it's dry, it shrinks, and when it gets wet, it expands. So sheetrock cracks. We say, well, why? What's this crack happening? Why is it here? What's going on? And a slab is built on top of this soil generally. There's concrete slabs and there's pier and beam foundations, but, we're talking about slabs kind of specifically right now.
Right.
When that clay moves up and down and expands and contracts, your foundation just tends to wiggle a little bit. And that the concrete is designed to move. Concrete is flexible, which a lot of people don't really quite understand. It doesn't seem flexible. You can't move it with your hand, but a big sheet like that foundation does move a little bit. But that sheetrock really doesn't. Right. So when that foundation flexes and moves a little bit, you're going to see some natural movement from that clay, which can just cause some small cracks in the sheetrock.
Yeah, and it's important to talk about building materials. So you talk about the foundation, the slab, the concrete slab, and yes, it's got some flexibility. And of course, what are our homes built out of? They're built out of wood framing.
Yep.
And of course, wood is flexible.
Wood's very flexible.
And it bends. But then we attach this crazy sheetrock to it just so we can put some decorations on it and paint it and whatnot. And the sheetrock really is not flexible at all.
Yeah, especially not on that flat square plane that it's on, where any sort of the torque or pressure that comes from a change in positioning of what it's attached to, which is the frame, can definitely cause some small issues in slab foundations. But lots and lots of times when you see a pier and beam foundation, which it really is designed to move even more,
right?
You'll see very, very common to have minor sheetrock cracks that really aren't an indication of any type of foundation issue.
Yeah, exactly, because it's very normal for every home to have movement here in the DFW area. And as we talk about sheetrock, a lot of people look at sheetrock and are like, oh, wow, there's cracks in the walls, and it's like the wall is supposed to be impenetrable. Well, you need to think about what's the wall made of. Behind the wall is wood framing, and yes, it is strong, it is sturdy, but it's flexible. But the sheetrock is, we can just flick it and really put a hole in it.
Yeah.
So clearly when the foundation is moving, it's not going to stand up to that.
Yeah, definitely.
So definitely huge misconception there. And so I think, a lot of times when, first-time buyers in particular walking into homes and they've heard of this, they're like, oh, it's got sheetrock crack, this house is going to fall down. And so that's why we want to kind of address that. And then also, if you are a homeowner and you start to experience that over time, particularly if you were a first-time homeowner and you start to experience it, and there's those scare tactics out there that are honestly used by your competitors. And I think that may be part of the misconception. You'll see ads and commercials out there by your competitors that maybe show a sheetrock crack. Now, obviously, it's an extensive one, and in those cases, maybe, yes, there's some issues underlying there. But so those scare tactics, they scare folks, and that I think that's where some of these misconceptions come from.
We've actually had a customer tell us that she had multiple people come in and look at her house, and that we sent someone out there. They kind of did the evaluation. They recommended maybe like 14 piers, about average size job. It wasn't too big of a deal. But one of our big competitors did go out there, and I don't want to say that this is a representation of the entire company, but at least that individual who went out there and looked at her property, walked through her house telling her that this was a really big deal, that it was very serious, that she really needed to take it care of right away, and then proceeded to give her an enormous estimate for nearly $20,000 for a whole lot more work than we really thought was needed on that house. So while not everyone does work poorly, there are certainly people out there that will use scare tactics to try and sell foundation repair.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're out there and you're thinking you do need some, foundation work done, obviously you want to give our guys at PermaPeer a call. The website's permapeer.com. Phone number 214-637-1444, by the way. Mentioned you heard it here on the radio show. What other big misconceptions do you think are out there as well about foundation repair and when you don't need it?
Yeah, one of the biggest misconceptions is the cost. Many people, and anytime you ask someone, what do you think it's going to cost to repair your foundation, their mind goes to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
Right.
And now I don't want to tell you that never happens, but in reality, the average cost of foundation repair is about $5,500. Now, is that fun? No. The answer is no. I've had to replace a roof myself. It's not fun to come out of pocket that kind of money.
Right.
But when I called my roofer, he could tell I was stressed. He could tell I was worried. And he said, Jared, it's not going to be $20,000. You're doing the exact same thing people do that call you. Right. It's not that big a deal. It's going to get taken care of. So I think the price is the biggest misconception. Really, probably one of the biggest misconceptions right there.
Yeah, I think I agree, and it is. It's just, I think it's just scary. It's scary that it's something going on with your house. You're worried about it, and then there is that misconception about the cost out there, and it really isn't all that bad. And of course, you have multiple financing options, as well. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, if you're a seller and you need to do foundation work, then part of the program working with us and that you have is that, you've got the pay at closing option.
Yep.
But what about the other financing options?
Well, cash is always great.
Absolutely. Cash is key.
All major credit cards, but, and the stuff that really helps people, the stuff that you're asking about is, what kind of financing options are there? And we work with a great third-party lender who they don't put liens on properties in order to loan the money for that repair. They actually got started out of a major home improvement store. That's where they got started, so they're a reputable company. If you're looking to buy or sell a home, you do want to be careful because it is a line of credit that they're giving you. They're going to pull your your credit history and everything else. So. But third-party financing anywhere from, 0 down, no interest for 12 months to, for some clients, 10 months or 10 years is what they want to pay over, it's a decent interest rate, but they want to make payments over the course of 10 years. And, so we have anything in that range for them.
And obviously it's up to the people that, need the work done.
Yep.
We can find a financing option that is as unique as they are. And of course, maybe they want to do it with a home equity line of credit.
Yep.
Maybe they want to do a little more rehab with the home as well.
Maybe they have a 203K that you never see anymore.
Exactly.
So.
We can get them with our folks over at Supreme Lending Rockwall. Mm-hmm. We could maybe refinance and do a rehab on it and get the foundation work done, as well as maybe get some other updating done to their property as well. So all kinds of financing options. I'm thinking, hey, those are air miles.
Yeah.
Let's get it on that air mile card that you love to use, folks out there, and get it done. But there's a lot of other great options as well. What else do you think is a misconception?
We've really covered a lot of the big ones.
Yeah, I think so. I think the big ones that I always hear all the time working with clients are the sheetrock cracks and the price, and I think we nailed those pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I think we're going to wrap up this segment here with Jared Benson, Director of Marketing over at permapeer.com, for all your foundation needs. And, even if you just want somebody to come out and check your foundation, maybe you saw a crack in the sheetrock that's extensive. We talked about that being a misconception, but if it's extensive, you might need to have somebody look at it. If you've got a crack or you're feeling some movement in the house, a crack in the bricks and whatnot, give us a call. By the way, phone number 214-637-1444. Permapeer.com is the website. Folks, we've had another great foundation segment here at Inside Real Estate. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Folks, we're going to be back in a few. With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin Team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Living in the DFW area, expansive clay soil and extreme weather conditions play havoc on homes' foundation. But thankfully, you can turn to Permapeer Foundation Repair of Texas, who has successfully repaired over 20,000 properties and counting in the DFW area. With the most trusted, tried and true foundation repair methods, trust the professional staff of Permapeer Foundation Repair to take care of your property, and most repairs are backed by a lifetime transferable warranty. Mention Inside Real Estate Radio when calling Permapeer at 214-637-1444 or when booking online at permapeer.com for your Inside Real Estate Radio discount.
The J.C. Harder Insurance Agency in Uptown Dallas has nearly unlimited resources when it comes to getting you the best insurance rates and policies for home, auto, and more. As part of the Goosehead Insurance brand, you, the consumer, have the power of choice through the J.C. Harder Insurance Agency Network. For a quote today on all your insurance needs, stop by J.C.'s office on McKinney Avenue in Uptown Dallas. Call 214-643-6108 or visit jcharderagency.com. That's 214-643-6108 or jcharderagency.com.
Do you know the difference between a business and a successful business? Excellent branding. You can increase your sales and branding recognition by attending a 1-hour free Cumulus Radio Branding Seminar Wednesday, March 16th. You'll learn the 4 keys of branding, how to use trigger events to drive business, and how to market your business. You'll even get a free lunch. To join us, call 214-523-2760. That's 214-523-2760.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. Website, InsideRealEstateRadio.com, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. Time for another insurance segment with J.C. Harder of the J.C. Harder Goosehead Insurance Agency Company. Website, jcharderagency.com. J.C., how we doing?
Doing great, Mike. How about yourself?
Doing excellent. So are we going to do some more in our rolling segments of your carriers that you have access to?
Yes, and I think everyone's ready for us to be finished, but at the same time, we're glad that we have that many. So we're really excited about this next carrier. They are called Imperial Fire and Casualty. We'll just shorten that to Imperial for the segment. They've been in business since 1990, and most importantly, they are A-rated from the AM Best, the financial rating company for insurance carriers. So again, that means they have the money to pay out in case claims do happen. What we really like about Imperial, they are a new partner to Goosehead. They write the best type of water coverage available, and that's something that we go over, week in, week out, but it's one of the most popular claims outside of wind or hail, outside of theft. It's always water damages, it seems like. So if you go back to our previous segments and everything, this is that HOB version or the all risk or the upgraded form in Texas, and they do offer all 4 water coverages. Those 4 water coverages, like everyone, includes sudden and accidental, slab foundation, water backing up, but they even include that seepage or slow leakage that only a handful of companies include. Now, probably the best thing about Imperial and something that sets them away from our other carriers, most of those water limits have a cap on them. Not your sudden and accidental, but most of the water backup, most of the foundation can be either, $5,000, $15,000, or 15%. Imperial is going to cover all 4 of those water damages mentioned at the policy limit. So if you have a $200,000 home and you have, close to a $200,000 claim, they're not going to be capped out at all. You're going to get the full policy limit on all 4 of those features.
Okay, so it definitely sounds like they are the best when it comes to that for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and you'll see some companies can't even go over 5,000 on the water backup. Some of them will go up to 10,000, maybe even 25. Like I think MetLife goes up to 25. However, again, this company is going to give you the entire policy limit on those coverages. So again, it's a coverage you hope you don't have to use, but at the same time, not having a cap on that can be very huge.
Yeah, that would be. So, folks, if you're listening out there and if you've maybe had water damage in the past and you know how troublesome that can be and it can just absolutely wreck your house and you never want to go through that again and not be covered, you're going to want to call JC and talk to him about Imperial because he's got access to them. And this is a company you're not going to be able to hear about in general terms. You'll have to call JC to get the information on them. And, folks, look, even if you've not had water damage in the past, and I hope you'd never have it, it is hellacious, and you want to be covered because it can be extremely expensive. You want to call JC for sure on this.
Absolutely. Another unique benefit to them is a lot of these carriers will put an age limit on roofs. So they'll say, okay, any roof within 15 years, we can give you a replacement cost on. Now, there is some, the roofers are going to tell you that it's a 30-year shingle roof, which is, not common here in North Texas. Well, Imperial can be a carrier for someone that does have an older roof. As long as it's in good condition, they don't ask the roof age. So they're going to, determine insurable condition, but where other companies just limit at 12, 15, or 20 years, they're going to let you have an old roof, as long as it is in good condition.
Right, and that's beneficial as well. And it's really kind of unfortunate how roofs have been sort of attacked somewhat to a degree as far as insurance is concerned, just because of the amount of storms that we have, hailstorms that we have, and then the amount of predatory roofing companies that are storm chasers, which have impacted how insurance companies review risk as it relates to your homeowner's roofs. But with this particular company, maybe a little bit more friendly.
Yeah, just good to have another option on that instead of, limiting down to, to no one. If someone has a 22-year-old roof, at least we have some option if it is still in good shape there.
Right.
They do not write auto insurance in Texas, but a lot of our other carriers that, are strictly home carriers, they'll still give you that bundle discount if you have our auto with, the Goosehead agency. So again, you can still get your bundle and your preferred pricing on that, even though they're not writing the auto insurance. Also, they are open in parts of Harris and Fort Bend County. So anybody, that has any properties in the Houston area, things like that, that's pretty much the most expensive spot in Texas to insure, and they're open for a few zip codes on there as well.
Very good.
Target customer, of course, like everyone, good credit, you're going to get better pricing with them. Also, newer homes, you're going to get better pricing with them. But one little success story, I was doing a $400,000 home in Austin, and I'd sent a quote out that was about, $1,000 a year premium or so. When we got Imperial turned on, I went and checked that one again and got it down to $795. And again, it trumped that water coverage big time from that $1,000 quote. So not tons cheaper, but at the same time, a good, better coverage for less premium, was a really good success story. And honestly, they're coming up competitive almost, 9 out of 10 times everyone we're quoting.
Yeah, it's a win-win, because although it may not be huge savings, it's still savings. But the big thing is when something happens, you're going to be with the right company to cover your needs. And that's really what you're paying for. That's what insurance is for. And if you can get a little savings to go along with that, well, that's a win-win.
And going over, most of the clients out here are, escrow holders, or it's paid in the mortgage. However, the people that do not have an escrow or no mortgage anymore, and you do pay it on your own, I do have a couple other companies that I don't want to say I've lost a deal over, but at the same time, they're upset with like a quarterly or a 4-pay plan. Imperial will give you a 11-pay, so it'd be 20% down of the premium, and then they'll do 10 installments of 8%. So there's not a whole lot of home insurance carriers that offer a monthly payment when you're paying out of pocket, but they can get, really close to it.
Right. I got you. And that might be particularly something that's of interest, for someone who owns their home outright and is no longer mortgaging and escrowing, and they might want to pay it that way. That might be a great option for them.
Absolutely. Just to kind of wrap it up, again, they're top in regards to water coverage. They're A-rated, and they're very competitive for your kind of 15 to 20 years or newer on homes. So, if you are listening and haven't shopped in a while, please give us a call. Patty and I would be happy to take a look at your policy for you. And at the end of the day, if Imperial's not a good fit, we still have, the backup of all of our other carriers.
Absolutely. And keep in mind, even though Imperial does not write auto insurance, you can still get through JC your auto insurance covered, and Imperial will still grant you that bundle discount. So that's great right there. Another great segment, JC. Thank you. Phone number where you can always reach JC, Patty, and his staff, 214-643-6108. And, of course, their website, jcharderagency.com. Folks, another great insurance segment with J.C. Harder. Hey, it's Mike Kruizinga here, your host of Inside Real Estate Radio. We'll be back in a few.
Sellers, how would you like your home sold guaranteed? Buyers, how would you like your bid guaranteed to win? Well, it's real simple. Call Mike Kruizinga with Chris Arnold Premier Realty and ask about their guarantee programs for both buyers and sellers. No one beats Mike's professional listing and marketing services for all price ranges, including luxuries and ranches. And few have the knowledge and patience to take first-time buyers from renting to home ownership in a tough market. Visit DFWMetroplexRealestate.com and mention you heard this on the radio. And listen to Mike Sundays, 8 a.m. on KLIF for Inside Real Estate.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote, call 1-800-467-1443. That's 1-800-467-1443. 1-800-467-1443. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details on the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price can vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors not available in all states.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey, folks, we are back. It's Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Hey, we got some information here for you. We got some headlines. We got some headlines for y'all. By the way, answer to that question I asked you earlier, how much real estate did Zillow and Trulia sell all of last year? And I said under 500 million, over 500 million. The answer is under. And guess what? It was a whopping zero. It was a whopping zero. That's how much real estate they sold. Just so you know out there. A website that's talking about real estate that doesn't sell real estate, that just sells advertising, well, you might want to question exactly what they're doing there. Just a little bit of food for thought. Hey, got some headlines for you. Did you ever want to live in a tiny little house? Are you trying to downsize? Do you not want to have a big mortgage payment anymore? Well, out in West Texas, over near Lubbock, a little town called Spur of about 1,300 people, they are not having any regulations on the size of the foundation or size of the property, which means you can build a tiny little house. And so there's a whole community out there now of tiny little houses. This one here that they were talking about in this newspaper article, and we're going to put this on the Pinterest page because you're going to want to read this article. It's really funny. 86 square foot home. 86 square feet. I am pretty sure this studio is bigger than that. Let me see. This studio is about 20 by 15. So, yes, this studio is much bigger than this little 86 square foot house. But if you wanted to build a small house, you could. There's a bunch of them. There's like a 96 square foot house. There's one that's about 440 square feet. But no houses in this little tiny community are bigger than 1,000 square feet. And the town's not regulating it. It says it's okay. It's no problem. And so there's actually people moving in from all over the U.S. This article was pretty well written. There's folks from San Francisco, from Florida, from up north that are just, wanted to be in a tiny little town and a tiny little house, I guess. So if that's what you want to do, and small property taxes and small payments, well, a little town called Spur out near Lubbock, and you can build yourself a little 100 square foot house if you wanted to. So thought that was pretty interesting. That'll be on the Pinterest page. What other headlines we got going here? Hey, Ambassador Hotel, historic Ambassador Hotel, which opened back in 1905. They're going to be doing some new things to it, and of course we've been hearing about this for a while now, but they're going to do some apartment lofts over there, and then it'll be close to starting construction on that mid-year. Going to have a nice rooftop bar with the skyline view, and this building's been a lot of things over the years. It was senior housing for a while, of course, hotel early on, number of things, and then now it's going to be kind of converted back into some new lofts and apartments, and going to be pretty cool. Over at One Arts Plaza downtown, 7-Eleven, they moved their headquarters. Of course, 7-Eleven is based here in Dallas, and anyway, they moved their headquarters, so about 100,000 square feet coming up available over there, and 7-Eleven actually been one of the original tenants there when the building was built back in 2005. So got some square footage available over there at One Arts Plaza here in downtown. That's kind of some news there. What else we got? Castle Hills. If you've lived here in DFW here for a while, you know that Castle Hills is a huge, huge spot, and they're actually going to be expanding. We're looking at they picked up another 100 acres of land, so they're going to be building some more. And there's already, there's 12,000 people, folks, that live in Castle Hills. This is over, in Carrollton, and I knew it's been open since '97, and I knew it was a big community, but I didn't think it was actually that big. By the way, they're working on picking up some additional land on the north side with the Clem family that owns another 140 acres north of there. So they're going to try to expand Castle Hills even further. And of course, that family, they'd been around and owned that land since 1860, along with a lot of other land over there. So Castle Hills probably going to be expanding big time, and of course, all the homes over there kind of range from about 300 to a million, a little over a million. So that's good news. We're gaining lots and lots of new homes in the area. Well, that's about all the time I got for headlines. We're going to take a short break, then we're going to come on back with Mortgage Talk. See you in a few.
I believe in you. Just 4 simple words, but to a child in need, they mean the world. I believe in you means you have potential. You are special. You matter. When you become a child sponsor with Save the Children, you're saying, I believe in you. You are smart. You're capable. You will overcome obstacles that most can't imagine. Your sponsorship says to a child, I believe that you deserve a successful start to life and a solid foundation to build upon. I believe you're worthy of good nutrition, quality healthcare, and the opportunity that education unlocks. Becoming a Save the Children sponsor sends a powerful message of support. It says, I am here for you, to lift you up, to cheer you on, and to celebrate your success. Because when you believe in a child, you empower them to believe in themselves. I believe in you. Just 4 simple words that can bring hope, that can change a life. Visit sponsor.savethechildren.org today and tell a child in need, I believe in you.
With decades of experience, the Rocky Martin Supreme Lending Team will work to close your home loan in 30 days or less. With access to the most competitive interest rates, the most financing options, and the most access to down payment assistance programs, the Rocky Martin team won't be beating service to you for all your mortgage needs, including purchase and refinance. Trust RockyMartin.com and his team for their reliable and fast loan process. Go to RockyMartin.com or call 972-772-1866 today.
For housing lender, NMLS ID number 211731, 6730 Horizon Road, Suite B, Heath, Texas 75032.
Now back to Inside Real Estate. Here's Mike the Realtor.
Hey folks, Mike Kruizinga here, Inside Real Estate, InsideRealEstateRadio.com. InsideRealEstateRadio.com is the website. Hey, time for mortgage talk. And their website, RockyMartin.com, Rocky with an I-E, RockyMartin.com. Phone number where they're always standing by for all your mortgage refinance and Texas cash out needs, 866-607-5667. Terry Wagner's here live in studio. Good morning, Terry.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm very, very good.
Good.
I got a little bit of sleep last night. I've been lacking sleep for like the last 2 weeks.
That's not good.
I'm reasonably caught up.
Good. Yeah, it's always good to be caught up on sleep.
Yes, it helps. It helps. What's going on in mortgage?
Well, today I thought I would bring the FHA Back to Work program. We talked on it just briefly a week or so ago, and so I thought we'd talk about that a little bit today. It's a pretty good program. Actually, I learned some stuff in getting ready for this segment.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. So basically,
Back to work, folks.
to work. If the definition that is going to fit within this program is anyone who has lost 20% or more of their income due to job loss, job reduction, hour reduction, but that incident had to take place over a 6-month time period. So in other words, you couldn't have just lost your job, been off work for a month, went and got another job, and qualify for this.
Okay.
So and it has lots of really cool little caveats to it when it comes to some credit issues that you may have. So if this program fits, it's a great program, but it's kind of exclusive of you have to fit within this program.
Okay. So would you have had to have been out of work for 6 months at least? Is that what it's saying?
No, you don't necessarily have to have been out of work for 6 months. Your income would have had to have been reduced by 20% for 6 months.
Okay.
So if it's seasonal or something like that,
okay,
and your income was reduced by more than 20% over a 6-month time period, then you would qualify for this program.
Okay.
And definitely, probably the most common is going to be job loss for 6 months.
Right.
Okay. Which, unfortunately, with our economy kind of rebounding, like that's what we were talking about, I think it was last week, our economy's kind of rebounding a little bit, and maybe a year ago you were laid off or your company closed or something along those lines, and it took you a while to get back to work. But now you're back to work and you're looking to buy a home, but you don't think you can because you suffered some credit issues during that time.
Sure.
So just a couple of really sticky requirements that we have to make sure that we watch. There is a 30-day wait period after you take a housing counseling program. So you have to take this program, and then you have to wait 30 days before you can make application. Now, that's a tricky one, too, because application doesn't mean you can't talk to me about your loan program, and let's look at your debt-to-income ratio. Let's look at the credit report. Let's look at all of that. A full application means that you have a contract to purchase a home.
Right.
That's generally the last piece of the puzzle that constitutes a full application.
So they can do some game planning with you.
Right. We can definitely do some brainstorming, get everything ready to go. Then you go take the counseling course. Then we wait 30 days. Then you go find a home. Okay. And then the next one is our debt ratio is just real sticky. You cannot exceed 31% on the front end debt ratio and 43% on the back end. Do you know what the difference between those two are?
One's at the head of the horse and one's at the back end?
Yeah, that's
Ears and tail?
That's it. No, the front end ratio is just your debt as it relates to your income. The back end includes the new proposed housing payment. So it's your full debt ratio.
I see.
Okay, so 43 cannot exceed that.
Okay.
Okay. Minimum of a 620 credit score. Okay. No 30-day lates on either your mortgage or your rent, whichever the case may be, in the last 12 months. So if this incident happened 18 months ago, you had the 6-month issue, then you got back on track, went back to work, you've been in your home renting or buying for 12 months, those payments can't have been 30 days late or more. Okay?
Okay.
And then also no over 30 the 12 months preceding the economic event. So we have to isolate this economic event. We have to document it. We have to show what happened, why it happened, and now you're back on track.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't have enough credit, you only have one trade line or something along those lines, we can use what's called non-traditional credit. Those are items that don't necessarily show up on your credit report, but you're paying them on a regular basis, and you've done so for more than 12 months. Those would be things like lights, water, gas, all that good stuff.
Yeah, all the
so
utilities.
We can get a history of it from the company that you receive the service from, that you haven't had any over 30 days with those.
Right.
Okay. We have to have.
We should really all get better credit for just paying our utility bills, shouldn't we?
You would think.
Of course, I guess they're just going to turn them off if you don't pay. So
yeah. So you
I guess they don't
have
count.
So that's a good non-traditional credit because
Yeah.
you have to pay that, or like you said, you're going to get your lights turned off.
But we don't get a FICO boost for it.
No, you don't get a FICO boost. But
Gosh, dog it.
But we can get a letter from that company and get it added to your credit report, but it's not going to give you any points on your credit score.
Right.
It's just going to be a trade line for us.
They'd be like, "Good job, you paid your water bill."
That's right. Yeah, good job. Way to go,
Way
Mike.
to go out there. Way to go, you folks out there. You paid your electric bill
That's
and your
right.
water bill.
That's right.
I don't know. Should we give you a loan or not? No house for you.
And this is on an FHA loan, and you could go up to $330,000 on an FHA loan.
That's right.
So, yeah, just pay.
We could be making a big mistake with this borrower.
That's right. That's right. Hopefully not. Right. Hopefully not. Hopefully we vet them really, really good.
That's right. That's right.
And you also have to have some reserves. And what that means is after you've brought the necessary money to closing, that's going to be required to close on the loan, you've got at least 2 months worth of reserves in your bank account after that happens. So they're looking for those reserves as well as like a little backup plan.
Okay.
We can use rental history as one of the non-traditional lines of credit. But if it's a private rental, like you're not a management company, you're just paying an individual, we'd have to have 12 canceled checks for that.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see, what else? I wanted to go over this before we run out of time. Some of the things, these are the benefits. Okay, so you had this credit issue because you lost 20% of your income. So what happened? Well, you had collections and you had judgments. Or you might have had a foreclosure. This program allows for you to get back into a home 12 months after the foreclosure, deed in lieu, short sale, bankruptcy, Chapter 7 or Chapter 13, as long as we can prove and isolate this economic event.
Okay.
So this is obviously an exception, this rule, because typically it's going to take you on an FHA loan. You have to be 2 years on the bankruptcies and 3 years on the foreclosures, and we've gone over the different programs and requirements. But this allows for 12 months after that event. If you had a home that foreclosed, 12 months later, if everything fits, then you might be able to take advantage of this program.
So potentially, and a lot of folks, we're getting a lot of people moving into the DFW area, a lot of whom are coming from California,
right,
and maybe had a foreclosure in
That's
California,
right,
or maybe they're moving in from Florida, or the Northeast or up north, Chicago area, and they had a foreclosure. So 1 year,
right, and
as long as they go in with they fit all this additional criteria,
right,
potentially could get them in a home,
right. But it's important, because obviously, they're not going to know all the requirements, and we can't go over all of them here today. Mm-hmm. They need to call in so that we can talk to them, counsel them, make sure everything fits, and we're going to have to document. We're not just going to take their word that this happened. We're going to have to actually document that this happened.
Right.
We're going to have to require verification of previous employer. Now, if that company's closed, good old internet is a big help.
Mm-hmm.
We can document when that company closed and document that they worked there through tax returns and W-2s and things like that. So there is a way to document, even if the company closed down, we can still document that. So then, company closed, we have to document that that they worked there, the company closed, and it took X number of months, 6 months or more, for them to return to work and return to the income that they were used to making.
Right.
Okay, so maybe they returned to work 3 months after, but they weren't making the money they were before, and then they worked themselves back up to that.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, folks, look, this is the Back to Work program. This is a great program. So if you've been in a bankruptcy, maybe a year or so out, maybe you had an economic event like Terry's talking about. If you fit all that criteria, and of course there's a little more to it, so you want to give Terry a call. But if you had an event happening in your life, it doesn't mean you can't still get into a house, and probably sooner than you think. Terry Wagner, our resident expert on mortgages and all things mortgages, 866-607-5667. Call, ask for Terry Wagner, or you can go to the RockyMartin.com site, Rocky with an IE. You always connect with her there as well. Another great segment. Folks, it's Inside Real Estate. Mike Kruizinga. We'll see you next week.
KLIF News and Information, keeping you informed around the clock every day. The resources of our local news team stays on top of the news as it breaks, and that means you are on top of the news. Traffic information every morning when you need it. Lock us in with traffic on the 5s at 5, 15, 25, 35, 45, and 55 past the hour. And it all comes your way from our home right in the nerve center of Dallas, Victory Park, next to the American Airlines Center. News and Information, 570 AM, KLIF.
Neither the hosts nor the guests or contributors of the show Inside Real Estate with Mike Kruizinga are attorneys, CPAs, tax advisors, or investment advisors, and are not providing legal advice during the course of the show. If you need professional legal advice or services in any of those categories, please seek the appropriate professional. The host is a licensed real estate agent in Texas with the Chris Arnold Premier Realty Brokerage, a fair housing broker and member of the MLS. Texas real estate agents are prohibited from providing legal advice.
The preceding program was furnished by K1 International, LLC, and is responsible for its content.
News and Information 570 AM.
96.3 FM HD2. KLIF Dallas. KSCS FM HD2 Fort Worth. KLIF.com.
A Cumulus station.